I'm Ron James, and we're here at Just Cause Entertainment in Marina del Rey, and we are live with you for one of the LA exhibitions of Watchers 7. This is the film produced by LA Marzulli and Richard Shaw, and it's caused quite a buzz in the realm of UFO and paranormal related releases. So give us just a minute. We're getting everybody rounded up for an exclusive on-camera interview. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. I'm Ron James, and we're here at Just Cause Entertainment with LA Marzulli and Richard Shaw. We're here to discuss the LA exhibition tonight and the film Watchers 7, which is you guys' most ambitious title to date.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was a pretty tough show to put together, I must say.
It is ambitious.
So this one is about physical evidence. Can we talk about that? What are you giving us?
Well, just briefly, we've got the implants from Dr. Roger Lear. We've got a very weird-looking sphere which crashed in a field in Mexico, which we analyzed. We've got amazing, and I mean amazing, Startling UFO footage. One of the ones that absolutely floored me, and I present this when I'm lecturing, is the one shot in Turkey, and it zooms in, and you can see the aliens sitting in the craft, standing in the craft. And Rick discovered something really interesting, which we weaved into Watchers, and I'll turn it over to him and let him tell you about it.
Yeah, there was a guy, Mario Santiago out of Chile, that did a analysis of the original film, the original piece of tape that UFO was shot with. He stripped the fields and went in there and could clearly see the alien beings inside, including a third one that you don't really see until you really get into it. And then he did a sketch to make them look more clearer. And you can, I mean, it's just really astonishing. It really is.
Now you guys have, in a field of UFO films and paranormal, everybody's a filmmaker. I've made films. We've all made films. You guys have carved a very unique niche. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yeah, Rick is incredible. For instance, in Watchers 6, we had like about 1,000 clips, and Rick has to make a show out of 1,000 clips. I mean, it's maddening when you really think about the task that he undertakes, but we tell a story through Watchers, and Rick is able to take that and weave this tapestry, very complex tapestry, and tell the story through the film. And he makes it look effortless and easy, but we both know that it's not. I mean, it's an incredible amount of work.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's basically what we're trying to do is basically tell the truth about these unusual circumstances or evidences that we find, whether it's in foreign country like Peru or in Mexico City, where we met with Jaime Maussan in Watcher 7, and he showed us some just incredible stuff there.
Incredible.
And it's just like it just goes on, and we haven't seen a show quite like Watchers, and that's kind of why we do it.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people know Jaime, and we've all met him here in the States, but not that many people get the privilege of going down and seeing where he works and where he lives. How was that?
Well, I mean, it was incredible, and Jaime gave us just opened all the doors,
red
carpet treatment all day long. He actually just gave Rick like literally, I don't know, 50 gigs, 60 gigs, more like 100 gigs of UFO footage, startling UFO footage, and we have it, and we made this montage in Watcher 7, which just, look, when I show this clip, when I'm lecturing at different conferences or whatever, the audience is stunned. Because most of them have, this UFO stuff, that type of attitude. And once they look at this montage, they just kind of go, ooh, we're not in Kansas anymore. And it's very convincing because it's not the little blurry lights in the sky. These are craft, and they're doing stuff. And that's what Jaime was able to give us, which is just fantastic.
We didn't want to do another UFO show with fuzzy lights in the sky or things that people could easily dismiss, say, oh, that's a Roman candle or what. I mean, the typical stuff, that you hear people say. We wanted it to be really conclusive that I dare you guys to try to find this kind of footage anywhere. And just in the past couple weeks, there's been news sightings of things all over the world, especially in Brazil. I mean, it just was just unbelievable what's going on around the world. They're just having like armadas of ships by the hundreds flying over various countries, and lights that are creating shapes and little spheres that drop out of them at night and form another sphere. It's just like, what? What is that, you know?
And so the question that is on everybody's mind is, where is it going? You know, what is happening? We're seeing an acceleration of sightings, and we're seeing an acceleration of people actually tuning into being willing to believe in it. We're seeing governments becoming more forthcoming as they can be, I think. But what do you think this is going to culminate in?
Look, I'm not a prophet, but I will say this. I believe that we're very close. In my opinion, from looking at the evidence and having been in the field for like 25, 30 years, I honestly feel that 2014, we may see some sort of an event which is a game changer. What I mean by that, you know, we've got craft and the armadas like in Brazil and in Mexico and other places. I think we're going to see something in the United States. The 800-pound gorilla, and Stephen Bissett talks about this, which keeps this truth embargo, keeps the people from knowing what's really going on. And when you turn on the news and, well, those little green men are back again, Bob, you know, that kind of nonsense, right? I think we're going to have a sighting somewhere in the States in broad daylight that will be, okay, you know, game over, something's going on, what is it? And I think this could be the year. I really do.
Now, do you think that anything is going to encourage governments to tell us more than what they know, or are they going to act just as surprised as everybody else when it happens?
I think the United States is probably the most tight-lipped of any country in the world, and I believe it's because we're in bed with their technology, and it's so top secret that, you know, people have been murdered in the past for releasing certain information of that type. But I think if we always worry about, will our government disclose what they know about UFOs? But if they disclose it themselves, if they appear before basically the population of the United States, then it doesn't matter what the government does at that point. It's disclosed.
Now, back to Watcher 7. What do you think is the most compelling piece of evidence that you guys are presenting here? Is it some of the stuff we already talked about, or is there some surprises?
I think, you know, for me, and this is ongoing, and they work hand in hand. The Dr. Jacobs interview we did with him, which was absolutely chilling, where he goes, I despair for the future. I mean, those are his words. Because of his research on the abduction phenomenon, he realizes that there's some sort of a breeding program which has been going on for decades, which seemed to have reached its fulfillment. He believes that these hybrid beings are now integrating with society. Coupled with that is the research of Dr. Roger Lear. And Roger's been in Watchers from the onset. And what we did in Watchers in 7 and also in Watchers 8, a little teaser here, we have a gentleman who claimed to have been abducted, thought he had an implant right in here. So we took him, we had a x-ray done, we did a CAT scan, we did a Gauss meter, which registered 7.5 on the milligauss on a Gauss meter. Rick's camera and his battery is 9.5. So here's this little thing the size of a pencil lead registering 7.5 milligauss. We took a stud finder. We all knew it was there. We went to the doctor who was going to take the thing out. He took an ultrasound, and it's a little, 8-inch, 8-inch long, 4 inches wide strip of skin. And he found the implant within 2 minutes. In Watchers 8, we removed the implant. So you see this whole trail of evidence in Watcher 7, and it finishes up in 8. But there's a real twist to it, because we couldn't find the implant for an hour and a half. It was cloaked. Not only that, it wasn't registering on the Gauss meter. He sat there, the doctor, with the wand from the ultrasound, and he went over that 4-inch by 8-inch strip of skin literally for an hour and a half. And I won't tell you what happened. We did find it, and we did remove it. But it was literally high strangeness.
Was this Dr. Lear again doing the work?
Dr. Roger Lear and Dr. Matriciana.
Okay.
Dr. Matriciana was the actual surgeon, and Dr. Lear was there to kind of supervise.
That's going to be something to look forward to on Watchers 8.
It will be.
It's amazing footage.
You won't believe it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a philosophical question. With people like Jacobs and their dark view of what the agenda is, but then we look at the history that may be as old as humanity through ancient aliens theory and things like that, that would seem to indicate that what is happening now is a culmination of something that started a long time ago. So the question that I ask you guys, for just your opinion, is Is it necessarily a bad thing, or is this the positive evolution of humanity just reaching another level?
People have called me that I work in, fear porn, and it's not what we're talking about. If you look at all the Ancient Aliens episodes, and instead of saying ancient astronaut theorist or ancient astronauts, if you just replace those words with fallen angelic host, then one begins to realize that we are in a cosmic war between two separate entities that has been going on literally for eons and is now spilling out into this dimension. Also, we realize from the plasma physicists that the universe may in fact be a digital simulation. And if that's the case, then all of a sudden the work of Jacques Vallée and J. Allen Hynek, when they say that these entities, wherever they're from, whoever they are, seem to lie and do so habitually, and they look more like what history tells us the demonic were or was than ET from some other solar system. So, and all the evidence, and again, 25 years, look at the abductions, look at the breeding program, look at the cattle mutilations. There is in my opinion, this is what I call, and I've labeled, the coming great deception. It will deceive many people. And what's interesting is, and I'll close with this, there are ancient prophetic texts which warn, 2,000 years old, which warn of precisely this type of thing, that even the elect, and I'm quoting, even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. That's 2,000 years old. Men fading from fear from what is coming upon the earth. Now that's pretty heavy stuff.
I find it very, very interesting that, as science has always been separated from traditional religious philosophies, and the paranormal has especially been separated from traditional religious philosophies, but you seem to have found a bridge between what is happening, the undeniable phenomenon, and capturing an audience of people that are still honoring traditional religious beliefs. That's an amazing thing to have happen. It's very, very important. What do you guys have to say about that?
I think that even if you just took the Bible as an historical writ, not necessarily using it for religion per se, but these things are basically in there and described thousands of years ago, and now we're kind of seeing the outcome of that. In our work in Peru, it does seem to make sense that some of these creatures that we've discovered that had elongated skulls were not totally human. And we're working on that now. I mean, I won't go into that too much, but
let me give you a little story. We talked about this in Watcher 7. Okay, this is from a 2,000-year-old account. There's a guy sitting in a jail cell, all right, and he's chained to the wall with a bunch of other prisoners. All of a sudden, someone pops into the room. All right, the guy's not sure he's awake or he's asleep. He's kind of stunned, not sure what's going on. Then this being speaks to him, and the chains drop off. Okay, then he kind of stands up. He's still kind of wobbly. He looks around. Everyone else has been switched off. What does that sound like? And then the door of the jail cell opens by itself. What does that sound like? They go into the hall. There's a whole line of Roman soldiers. They've all been switched off. And in Rome, if you were a Roman soldier and you fell asleep at your watch, you fell on your sword the next morning. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Then they go outside, and the prison doors open. This huge door opens by itself. And then this being just fades into oblivion. And this guy walks free. Now, it bears the hallmark of a classic abduction story, except this guy's a benevolent guy. He's a good guy. But this is what leads me to believe that this, and the moment I say angel, everybody goes, oh my gosh, you don't understand what we're talking about here. These are highly intelligent. The good guys are great, but when they appear, everyone does a face plant. It's short. We can't even be in the presence. The energy is so powerful, so intense. And that's why in the abduction phenomenon, people being floated through walls, they look over, their partner is switched off, the dog is switched off, the window doesn't open, they go through the window, no one opens it. As Dr. Jacob said, they find themselves, in my opinion, we're talking about the same type of being. One is benevolent, the other one is malevolent.
they have tremendous powers of telepathy.
Tremendous.
And there's a range to it. We don't know what that range is, but we know that as they get closer to wherever you are, you start feeling the effects of it till at a certain point you're almost paralyzed.
What do you guys want to do next after Watchers 8?
We haven't thought that
I mean,
far ahead yet.
Where do you go from here?
There seems to be no end to topics. I mean, we can't hardly keep up with what's going on. and all of it's intriguing. So.
Let me butt in here. One thing we're going to do, you know, we just got back from Peru, but one of the things we're going to do is the three of us, Dr. Roger Lear, Richard, and myself, we're going to start in San Diego and drive up to Santa Barbara, testing the water along the coast. We want to find out what's going on with Fukushima. We're tired of like, well, it looks like, you know, this is radioactive and here's some fish with these swords. We want to get to the bottom of it.
Well,
so,
you know, we're doing a show on Evolve TV called RADS, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of
maybe we can collaborate.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I've stopped eating sushi like 3 months ago. Okay, no more sushi.
You know, I have to say though that I found a lot of fear mongering on the web. Like just recently, there was a story about the white stuff inside the salmon, and it turned out that the pictures came from a parasite website, and they were years old. So it was the whole story was bogus. Right. So it's important to go out there and test this stuff for ourselves, and maybe, just maybe, I'm hoping we'll have good news for people.
Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't it be great if for once the government wasn't lying to us, and for once it actually was safe? That would be wonderful.
There was this. This image, this graphic that was promulgated on the web, it was actually an incorrect graphic. It was a wave chart from the tsunami.
Right, yeah.
And
nothing
people,
to do with radiation.
Nothing to do with radiation, but they all turned it into a radiation chart, which it actually isn't. So, I mean, we just have to have accurate information.
The only way to get it really is to just get out there and do it yourself.
Yeah, you gotta go out in the field.
So that's awesome. We'll talk about that. We communicate quite a bit, so I think we'll let you know what we're doing, and maybe we can all do it together.
Sounds good.
So the audience is about to see Watcher 7 for the first time, and people at home, you're going to get to see about a 10-minute preview of Watcher 7. Obviously, we can't stream it for free to you because we want to sell copies of the DVD. However, you do have the opportunity to pick yourself up a copy. There's some fantastic deals. And remember, it's always good to support the filmmakers that are making these films, because we have to go out there and do this work. And people who just go and take the stuff and put it on YouTube and think that we somehow owe it to people. Have you guys been having a problem with that, finding your stuff on YouTube?
Constantly, yeah. They don't understand that that Watchers is privately funded. LA and I pay for everything. So it's like, you know, if it's given away, then we have no recourse to.
We can't buy our chicken.
we can't make more because we put everything we have into these films, and it's expensive at a certain point. Mostly travel is expensive, but we have to sell them to keep it going.
Again, you guys get to see at least the first 10 minutes of Watcher 7. You have the opportunity to buy it here on the same page where you're viewing this live stream. So I am going to sign off, and here we go. Stay tuned for at least another 10 minutes.
I'm inclined to believe that it's of an extraterrestrial origin.
But because of the ridicule which was heaped upon us and the great amount of censure, he considered it much better for the safety of his own skin and the safety of his own reputation to remain incognito.
Something is happening. More and more people around the globe are realizing that UFO sightings are real and they're not going away. We'll take you to one of the world's leading experts in UFOs, Jaime Maussan. We traveled to Mexico and interviewed Jaime and his staff. We saw unbelievable things. We'll take you inside and show you that incredible footage. Jose Escamillo will show us what might be hidden structures on the lunar surface. We'll take you into the lab with Dr. Roger Lear and Stephen Colbert and examine evidence, physical evidence of actual UFO encounters. We'll also show you samples that we took from a sphere that supposedly fell from space and crashed into a farmer's field. At the citizens' hearing on UFO disclosure in Washington, D.C., 6 congressmen got to hear unbelievable things that are actually happening in the skies over the earth.
UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead.
We have a space force. It's in existence.
We sat down with Stephen Bassett, the organizer of the conference, and discussed it with him.
There's an extraterrestrial presence from elsewhere engaging the planet Earth.
We also talked to Chris Putman, co-author of the best-selling book, Exo Vaticana. We sat down with Chris and asked him to explain what the Vatican relationship is with the extraterrestrial phenomena.
The data says that more people believe in ET than believe in God.
We also interviewed Dr. David Jacobs, who took us inside the alien abduction phenomena. Dr. Jacobs also weighs in on what he thinks the end game might be to the alien abduction phenomenon.
If you don't believe UFOs are real, you will after watching what we're about to show you in the next few minutes. The facts are in, and UFOs are being seen all over the world. Not just the traditional silver disc, but all sizes and shapes. There has been an upsurge in the number of sightings worldwide. Since April 2013, there have been 900 to 1,000 UFO sightings reported every month. Colorful snake-like structures like this are routinely seen over Mexico at high altitudes. Other times, strange floating objects appear that seem to be able to change their shape. Cigar-shaped objects like this one have been seen all over the world, and some of them are huge. UFOs seem to have the ability to levitate without sound and with little to no effort. Yet the traditional silver disc is still around. These ships are photographed hanging low over the cities of the world. Sometimes there are so many objects coming out of the UFOs that some believe they may be depositing drones to spy on us. Hundreds of these spherical orbs have been seen overhead.
Dr. Lee, you were in Turkey in 2009, and you took what I believe is the most startling pictures of UFOs I've ever seen. Please tell us the backstory.
Well, we were in a small town called Kumburgos, and this was on the European coast, and we decided to film for a few days. So we rented a place and we spent the night there, and we filmed from about midnight till 4 something in the morning. And I believe that it was in 2009 also that Jaime Maussan from Mexico with his team was there also. We were out on kind of a platform that was close to the water, but above the level of the surrounding terrain, totally flat, good place to have a camera and to be able to look out over the ocean. There was a bright, very, very bright moon in the sky. The owner of the camera had taken a lot of UFO pictures before, so it was a 300 millimeter lens with an electronic doubler. That means we were able to get 600 power magnification. So to begin with, we started focusing on the moon, and this was a camera mounted on a tripod. We noticed that there was a small, what appeared to be a star below the moon, and noticed that this star was not a star. And we got really tight and close on the craft, and what we saw was absolutely mind-blowing because it was the front of what appeared to be a disc, and 3 portals were apparent because they were lit from the light coming from the inside of the craft, whereas the craft itself was being lit by the moon. So in each portal you could actually see beings, and some of them was the typical black-eyed grays, but there were other beings that were there also. So in this central port, you saw several beings, and then there was one on each side. Now, we filmed that with a dog that was on the beach, who was just barking his head off because he was seeing the craft. He wasn't barking at the moon, and there was nothing else going on. So as long as we were filming, this dog was barking until we finally got the dog off the beach. but it lasted for quite some time. I don't remember the exact.
4 or 5 hours at least.
Yeah, it was enough to actually see the craft change position. It turned, and then when it turned, we could see that it was not a saucer at all, but more of a boomerang-shaped craft that, you know, had sort of an oblong aft end to it. And then it would change back to the central position and move slightly to the other position. The footage, first of all, was given to the University of Istanbul, which is a government-run university. And the result of the analysis was that this was a real documented sighting of a UFO craft, was not photoshopped, and the film was, or the video was not tampered with in any way, shape, or fashion.
We wanted to get to the bottom of where most UFO sightings occur regularly, and that is Mexico. To do that, LA, our resident expert, Richard Shaw, director, and Steve Colbert, the chief scientist at ANS Research, were invited to meet with Jaime Maussan, who has a television show in Mexico City. With 4 million viewers, Jaime's show about UFOs is the longest-running ongoing broadcast series in the world that focuses on UFOs. Jaime has a large staff